Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum to all, and welcome back with another amazing episode of Fahad's Journeys Talk Show. I'm your host Fahad JobsWala, and I'm student and interview captain at Rahan School Online Academy. I'm 15 years old and I'm based in Pakistan, Karachi. And you are definitely watching that series where I invite amazing, super extraordinary individuals from all over the world, and I explore and uncover their super inspiring life journeys, and especially that part of the life that where they went from nothing to something, or where they are, you know, somehow struggling to their success, and doing putting efforts and it and all that stuff, and it brings the motivation for you to take a stand as well. It brings motivation for us, for all of us, to take a stand and to make this world a better place. And let me mention this. I um, interviewed her mother, um, uh, you know, Ella Jamasmas, and she is obviously very great and humble lady, and she is her daughter. So it's my honor to speak with her as well. And she is project manager at healthcare company, and she is also a freelancer, and she manages social media accounts, and she does that kind of stuff. Really excited and very curious to learn more about Asia Lum. So hi Asia, how are you? And welcome to the show.
Hi, Fahad. Thank you for having me. I'm doing very well, and I'm very excited to just be here. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure to have you and to speak with you. And thank you so much for giving me your precious and valuable time to make this happen.
Yeah, of course. Super excited.
Okay, Asia, first of all, could you tell us about your story?
Yeah, of course. So, like Fahad said, I am a project manager for a healthcare company based here in California. Definitely, I mean, I don't know how far back you want to start back for my story, but if you guys heard the podcast with my mom, Ella Homosmos, she is definitely someone that has helped me to kind of think about my journey and to think about where I want to be in the future and what I want my future to look like. Growing up, I did a lot of music. I did a lot of following my dreams in the music industry. And business was something that, and business and corporate jobs was something that I did not even think about until high school. Even just starting a business or even starting freelancing, that's something that I didn't think about until later on. And one of the biggest motivators, I believe, for anybody wanting to pursue a career in whatever industry you want to pursue it in, a lot of people's motivators are financial stability. That's something that I definitely struggled with when I was in high school. I had to pay for my own piano lessons by taking part-time jobs. I had to teach music to other kids just to get as much money as I could to pay for my piano lessons. And that taught me that, in order to get what you want, there are ways to do it. There are ways to be able to make the kind of money that you want to make. There are ways to get jobs that you want to get. There's ways to get that degree or go to that specific school. There are ways to get anything that you want. And so definitely for me, I knew I wanted to have financial stability in school, financial stability for my future family as well, and making sure that I got the kind of job that, that I love to be able to do, in helping people, but also being able to be creative, which is why I took up a corporate job in healthcare because I want to be able to help people, and then also starting a freelancing business because I love being creative with social media and also love helping people in that aspect as well. I did not start freelancing until I graduated with my master's in business administration. The main motivation for starting freelancing, again, finances are a huge motivator. It's the same thing. I had a bunch of student loans. I had about like almost 50K in student loans, and they told me that I wouldn't be able to pay it off until 10 years from now. So I would be 35 at the time. but we've paid off over 60% of that amount in a year. And so freelancing has been kind of just the biggest help for me and the biggest motivator to be able to to pay off those student loans and to make sure that my family is not in debt. So that's where I'm at right now. Right now, still working corporate job in healthcare. I've been in healthcare for almost 5 years now, and freelancing for about the same amount of time. But it didn't start picking up for freelancing until the past year. And so yeah, that's where that's my story, and that's where I am now.
Amazing. Um, I'm glad that you took the initiative to start the freelancing as well, because freelancing obviously is that thing where the world is shifting. On right now, especially in this era,
Right.
people are just leaving their jobs, and but that is also great that you have continue your job and you're doing your job as well. So, Asia, did you have a business or money making kind of a mindset in your
That
childhood?
I would say definitely if you ask my parents as well, I definitely had that kind of mindset. Um, I know there's some kids like that are when they're in school they'll sell anything. They'll try to sell anything. They'll sell snacks, candy. Like, oh, I'll sell you this one toy that I have if you trade me this or something like that. But I didn't really have it as a kid. I think more so in high school. Um, I think when I was a kid, I really didn't think about, you as a kid, you don't really think about money. Everything is just kind of like, oh yeah, I get the clothes on my back, I get the food on the table, I have a place to live in. You don't really think about that. But in high school, I really had to think more about that because that was when my dad had lost his job, and we had to really think about where we were placing our money. We were thinking about cutting, my piano lessons, cutting some of my brother's like extracurricular activities. And for me, that was kind of a wake up call of like, I need to figure out how I'm supposed to be able to do the activities that I love because I love music, I love playing piano, I love singing, and I still wanted to continue doing that. I could have gone down the route of I'm just going to give up on this and just kind of sit in scarcity and sit in the mindset of like I don't have enough money, so I can't do anything. But I decided to go the route of being in the mindset of how can I actually get this money to get what I want. And because music made me happy, I knew that I wanted to continue it as much as possible. So high school was definitely where that mindset kind of shifted. And since then, since I was like 14, 15, since then, everything I see around me has become, I look at it as like a business opportunity. If someone has an idea, they bring an idea to me and they're like, oh, I want to do this. I'm like, you could make that a business. You could make money from that. And they're like, oh, I haven't like thought about that. Like it just, it's just an activity. I'm like, no, you could actually like do what you love and actually build a business from it and actually like live a life where you do what you love because everyone deserves to do that. And like, there's people who are stuck in corporate jobs that are stressed and burnt out and are in industries that they don't want to be in. And so my mindset has always just been like, how can we help people do what they love and still be able to make a living, but yeah, so that mindset has grown a lot, especially, through freelancing. In healthcare, I don't normally think about, business or like money making mindset, of course, because everything's kind of like played out for you. It's your job, your boss tells you what to do and you do it. So being able to use that in freelancing has kind of helped me to grow in that mindset, but also has helped me to learn a lot from other people and from other business people as well.
Amazing. That is obviously great. Asia, you mentioned that you did had this kind of mindset, like money making kind of a mindset, but you didn't had business mindset. Is that correct?
Yeah, business mindset was a lot later on. Definitely, I would say, like what you said, the money making mindset came when I was in high school. Business mindset, I would definitely say it came from my master's program, or even maybe slightly before that. One of the things that I actually wanted to do with my music degree was I wanted to create a recording studio and run a music business, and help other artists, record their music, release it, get their music out to the world. And that's why I pursued a master's in business administration. But being in the master's program, I realized that there's so many other ways to be in business. There's so many other ways to be able to help other people, or even, to make money in different ways. And so that kind of having that master's program helped expand the options and the opportunities that I received. And so since then, it's just the master's degree has helped me a lot, in not just connections, but also in learning from other people and being able to apply that to my own business as well.
Amazing. That is interesting that you did had mindset of money making, but you didn't had mindset of business. That is really
Hmm.
interesting. That
Hmm.
so in which subject you did your masters?
Yes. Hmm. Yeah, in business administration. Yeah. So I did. I could have chosen a different master's, but for some reason I just felt really drawn to business administration. And I'd heard people who had done the program too. I thought it was a requirement that for any master's degree, for any master's program, you had to have an undergraduate degree in that field or in that industry. But I don't know if it's different for other universities, but in California, you don't have to have a master's. So, like, I had an undergraduate degree in music. And so I was like, a bachelor's degree in music, that's impossible. I can't get into this master's program because I don't have any business experience. But they said, as long as you do have a bachelor's degree, it doesn't matter what it's in, you can join this master's program. So that also kind of help me to motivate me like, okay, I actually do want to do this program. It's possible for me to actually get through this program. So yeah, I did that program in a year. Worked a lot of late nights, and was still working at the time too. So I still had my corporate job, while I was taking my master's. But it was definitely worth it.
Amazing. That is really amazing. And sorry, means that that kind of a lady, that kind of a girl who even didn't interested in business, then she like took master's degree in business administration. That is really interesting and amazing. And yeah, obviously when when you're having a master's degree, somehow you'd be interested in business because business connects you with money making. And viewers, I just wanted to take a moment to mention this, that Asia mentioned she used to sell snacks, you know in her childhood. She is a biggest motivation for teenagers, for and obviously my most of the audience are teenagers, so you have to take this inspiration, this motivation from her, that in her childhood she used to sell snacks, and that is obviously amazing. Even in we teenagers, we have a very big ego in ourselves, which is like not letting ourselves to do something, to take any kind of step. Our ego is getting bigger and bigger, and we have to do something for our ego. And Asia, you know i I just really appreciate that. And viewers, you have to take a look at this, and you have to do something. You have to just even you can start a side business, and but you have to do something. You have to think about to support your family. So Asia, what your mom wanted you to do in your life, like any kind of specific field, any specific career she'd like to.
Yeah, no, great question. It's funny because I don't know, there's always a stereotype of like based on culture, what parents want their kids to do. So like for me specifically, for us being Filipino, A lot of the Filipinos that I know, their parents want them to be nurses, to be in healthcare, which to me it's hilarious because I work in healthcare, but I don't do blood. I don't do shots, I don't do needles, any of that. I don't so I knew I didn't want to be a nurse. For my mom and my dad specifically, they never specified that they wanted me to be in a specific industry, but they always said they wanted me to follow my heart and they wanted me to follow what I love to do. At the time, they knew it was music, and not just because I had the skill for it, but because I had the passion to do music, to write music, to sing. So they always just said, follow your heart. And when I decided to change to business, when I decided to, go instead of, you know, my dream was to become a recording artist, and that's something that I've tried to do. I've recorded music before, and I've released it, on different platforms. But when I decided to actually go through business, I decided to go to, a corporate job in healthcare. My parents were actually super supportive of it. I know, and I feel blessed and grateful because I know that there's lots of parents out there that want the best for their kids, and want their kids to be in a stable environment and be in stable finances. Not just for them individually, but for their families in the future and for their kids and grandkids. Their next generations. So I do feel really blessed to have parents who have supported me regardless of where my direction has gone. I know that really their only hope was that I would be able to be happy, but also be able to have financial stability in some way. And I think the most important part was my mom specifically. She had instilled skills within me to be able to figure out for myself where do I want to go and what do I want to do. Feeding into the business and money making mindset. Both my parents were examples of following your heart and making a business out of what you love. Um, but I think seeing that as an example helped me to be able to build that mindset. And for lots of teenagers out there, your role model can be, it doesn't have to be your parent, it can be somebody else that's on social media, someone you're watching on YouTube, it can be someone in your family, it can be a teacher, it can be someone, an adult in your life, someone that you look up to. And just, I would say too, just as a word of encouragement for the viewers and the listeners, just if you find somebody that you feel is a role model to you and there's somebody that you want to become, really lean into, what does that person do? Like, how do they act? How do they communicate? How can I learn more about them and what they do so that I can apply that to my life and, be better every single day. So, but yeah.
Amazing. Your mom or your mother wanted you to become a nurse, but you're doing a freelancing job. Oh, sorry. You're a freelancer. You're doing freelancing, but you are in healthcare company. You know.
Hmm.
So, like, does she being angry on you and not taking that field?
No, definitely not. I think really they just wanted my mom specifically, she just wanted me to be able to have financial stability. Um, that's definitely something I think for my dad specifically too. My dad didn't have financial stability growing up. And of course, as parents, you want your kids to have better than you did when you grew up. So, parents want their kids to be in better situations. And so I think they just wanted me to be able to take care of myself and also to be smart with my finances and also be smart with, being financially stable in the jobs that I had. I would say there's definitely, a lot of struggles that I went with, or that I had to go through, with specific jobs that I had, and I think just through it all, like my mom has been super supportive of it. Even starting a business, she always says like, you can do it. You can do whatever you set your mind to because it's possible. You can do it. And even in times where I would give up or I would say like I actually like really can't do this, she's like, no, like you can. Like it's okay. It's okay to give up if you feel like this isn't the route you have to go or this is the route that you don't want to go. As long as you know where you're going, as long as you have a plan, like everything should be good. So, but yeah.
Amazing. And yeah, she is really a supportive lady, and that is really amazing when you have your parents' motivation with you, and that is the greatest thing which pushes you towards success. Um, because when we do something, any kind of work in our life, and we don't have any kind of motivation, any kind of support
Mhm.
from our family, so that becomes a bit difficult for us to take that further, to be on that track further for the future.
Mhm. For sure.
So Asia, your mother is running, I don't know, a lot of organizations, and she is in public speaking. She's a like that kind of stuff she's doing, but you are doing a job, you are doing freelancing. So why didn't you get into this?
Into public speaking? Great question.
Yeah.
I don't like public speaking. I presentations I can do. It's funny because like I'll do good on presentations and people, when you go through a presentation you're nervous and people afterwards are like, "Oh, that's so good. Like you did amazing." And in my head I'm like, I was nervous the whole time and I couldn't think straight. So I don't know half the stuff that I said. So yeah, public speaking is not it's not my forte. I've gone to Toastmaster meetings with my mom before, and I've been able to kind of, on the spot pull something out and hope for the best. But it's definitely not my forte. I think that's probably one of the reasons why I decided to go towards like freelancing. With freelancing, depending on the industry, it's not as much public speaking. It's more how do you communicate when something needs to be done, or how do you communicate when a project is being completed. Like, okay, something's wrong over here. We need to communicate that this needs to be fixed right away. Here's the deadline. So I think definitely public speaking is not my forte, but because I've seen my mom public speak before, because I've, seen the way that she communicates, I think that those skills have helped me to be a better communicator in my job, in school, even in personal life, like in relationships, and friendships, being able to communicate with people, out in public, being able to have those skills to communicate has been super important. And I think that's what's helped me in freelancing too. One of the biggest things that I actually asked a couple of CEOs of different companies, for like the companies that I freelance for. I asked them what they look for in a freelancer or someone that they hire, and the biggest thing that they found was, or that they said, was that they wanted someone who could communicate really well. It didn't matter if you had the skills or not. People can learn skills, people can get trained, but if you're not able to communicate, it's tough to hire because they want to have somebody who will be able to communicate when something is wrong, when something's going right. So communication has just been that's the skill that I've really honed in more. If I did do public speaking in the future, I'd have to plan out the whole thing like months in advance. It would have to be I'd have to practice so many times. But yeah, I think I love helping people more so with, making sure um that they look good and making sure that their problems are solved. I would definitely describe it as like for my mom specifically, she's very like in front of the curtain, like on stage speaking, like she loves that. I'm kind of like the type of person that's like behind the curtain, like backstage, making sure like, okay, is her mic on? Is like, are the words all good? Like, is everything going okay? So, but yeah, we're definitely different in that aspect. We have very a lot of similarities, but that we're different.
That is really interesting, and yeah, because you're um, in an advanced generation, and yes, because we have different interest, that is all about the interest, because that is not compulsory here, that if your parents like XYZ, so you would be also, interested
Mhm.
in to do that or to pursue in that field, as your career.
Mhm.
But you're a good communicator, and you're
Thank you.
communicating very like greatly. I'm impressed. I thought you're also a public speaking or into that kind of stuff. So Asia,
Oh,
what do you
I'm
think
honored.
how we yeah, that is obviously great. So Asia, what do you think how we learn communication in our lives?
Yeah, no, great question. Um, I would definitely say it's hard to learn communication if you don't have role models in your environment that express really good communication. Right now, social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, everything online, there on all the online platforms, there are many different people that you can take as role models and learn about communication from, right? There's courses on communication, there's people who talk about communication online. And I think like one of the ways that you can really learn communication is by practicing it a lot, and really trying to use it in different settings. Every good communicator that you see online, even for myself especially, like I was not a good communicator. Nobody starts out as a really great communicator when they're a kid. When you're growing up, you're learning how to actually state what you want, how to actually express how you feel. So communication is something, it's a skill that you have to go through. For some of us, it's not until later on that we figure out how to properly communicate well. And for some of us at an early age, we learn that really quickly. But I would definitely say the biggest thing to help with learning communication is by practicing it and being okay with not being good at it. I think my generation, your generation, like you said earlier, Fahad, like we have egos. We want to be able to get things right the first time. We want things to be in the perfect situation, the perfect setting. It doesn't have to be, because the whole point is that you're learning how to communicate and you're learning as you go. I think the moment that we let go of our ego and we let go of our control to be perfect at something is when we're actually going to learn and when we're actually going to get to where we want to go. So I would say, like, for example, for me, for learning communication in high school, that was like in my classes, that was with my teachers. Sometimes if I communicated something, if I communicated something and a situation didn't turn out the way that I expected it to, instead of kind of sitting and moping and saying like, oh, like they didn't understand what I said, like I communicated really well, I would always instead think about how can I better communicate so that next time that doesn't happen, or next time like that person can understand where I'm coming from. And because I've been in the mindset of like evaluating how I communicate, that has helped me in my job. It's helped me personal life, in freelancing and everything. And I think really just the biggest thing is being okay with not being perfect the first time, because nobody is perfect the first time. It's as you go. You have to learn as you go. And even CEOs for companies, they also have to learn how to communicate. They constantly have to think about how can I communicate to my employees, how can I communicate to my team so that we're all on the same page. So everybody at different levels has a lot to learn about communication. But the biggest thing is practice. You have to practice it. You have to be okay with learning as you go, because as you practice and as you learn as you go, you get even better at it. And before you know it, people are commenting about how you're a great communicator, how they're, giving you encouragement and kind words about how you communicate and saying that they appreciate it. And that's, your feedback, like, okay, I'm getting good. I'm becoming a good communicator. And then just continue to learn and build those skills.
Exactly. That is a great advice or an answer. Um, like, I think that people are just creating, courses for everything. You know, we'd find courses for anything, for communication,
Right.
for little small things even, but that
Right.
that is not about producing courses, professional courses, and that is not about to learn something by applying for that thing, for to get into the specific course. We
Mhm.
have to learn physically, we have to learn practically in our life. And as
Right.
as Asia mentioned that um do daily practicing. And Asia, what is your first language as a Filipino, or
It's
English is your first language?
yeah, English is my first language. Yeah. Mhm.
Amazing. That is amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving forward, and guys, as you probably remembered, our yesterday's conversation or podcast was also most of the time we were talking on music because the guests were a big fan of music.
Mhm.
So I would also like to jump onto this topic again
Yeah, of
with
course.
Asia, and let's try to discover music with Asia. So first of all, Asia, um, what music means to you?
Yeah, of course. So music for me, it's man, it's a very integral part of my daily life. So I'm a musician and a singer. My husband also is a musician and a singer. It's nice to be able to be married to somebody that also has the same passions, you know. And it's nice to sing together too. But for me, music is another way of communicating. I would say like for me when I was a kid, I would play music, I would play classical pieces, I'd sing, and being able to feel the music or even see other people react to the music, either, you know, if the song is happy, you know, people are happy. If the song is sad, people are sad. There's so much, there's so much that you can write about in music. You know, you hear songs like in pop culture, like all over the world. You know, everyone writes based on their emotions, based on what they're feeling or the situations that they're experiencing. So for me, music has been a really good communicator, or a good way of communication. One of the ways that I found that out was through writing my own music. I would write music based on situations that I experienced, or you know, pain that I was feeling, or happiness that I was feeling, and communicating that. And you know, receiving feedback that like, oh yeah, I went through that situation too, or that's exactly how I felt like, but I couldn't put it into words. Being able to hear that just confirmed for me that music really is another way of communicating. So yeah, and whatever genre and whatever you know, type of music that is being played or being used, e- every single song communicates something, and shares a message. It can be a positive message, it can be a negative message, but it's still communicating something to people. So yeah.
Exactly. And yesterday, Rakmal mentioned that her friend shared a song video, I don't know, a music or song video to
Hmm.
her, and he said that this music, sorry for that, um, that video, in that video, the music is romantic kind of, you know.
Hmm.
And when
Right.
she
Right.
played that video, she got to know that that was actually a breakup
Oh
song.
my gosh.
Yeah,
Oh no.
yeah, and like, what is it about? And like beating. Tell us about more. Tell us more about music.
Yeah, of course. Um, Also, just to kind of hop back on that story, that is so sad that using, you know, it's funny because I've heard different situations like that where people have used music to express how they feel. Um, I would definitely even expand on what I said earlier and say that music is a way for us to communicate in ways that we're not able to express either through our actions or through verbal, like you know, you and me talking right now through verbally. Some people may not be able to express their feelings through just talking face to face with somebody. Sometimes a song speaks to what they're trying to say, and then they just show the song to somebody or they send the song to somebody. And that's just, again, it's a way of communicating. It's funny. I think it's so funny when people do that because it just shows that, like, it tells the other person, I'm having a hard time saying this out loud, so you need to listen to this song. Um, I've also seen it where someone has used a song like to propose to somebody, and I think that was beautiful because it made her cry, made him cry, and it just spoke to both of them so much. But yeah, but me, I would, music has such a deep it has a deep hold on anybody who listens to it. And I would definitely say, like, in my experience with writing music, with we both my husband and I lead worship at our church, and so we play a lot of songs for the congregation. Um, Being able to see how music affects people um, has just been so eye opening because to me it still boggles my mind that there's I don't know if there's any music theory or music nerds out there, but there's chords, there's lines, there's melodies that just like really like wrench your heart and really just speak to you. And for everybody that's different. I could listen to one song and love it. You could listen to the same song and not like it. But I think, it really speaks to people. It's amazing how it affects people so much. Like, you'll listen to a song about heartbreak, and you'll feel like you're also experiencing that heartbreak, even if you haven't experienced it, even if you're not in this situation. But yeah, music is just so integral to our culture, in today's world, especially. But yeah, music is a big part of our lives, and I definitely like would love for my future kids to be able to do music too. And it's definitely something I will definitely do for the rest of my life, even with having a corporate job and freelancing, like having something creative to do, especially something like music, helps to kind of round someone out as an individual and it's a good balance of your work and also something that you love. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm still laughing. Wasn't that funny?
Yeah.
That she,
That's so crazy.
yeah.
That's so they actually broke up? That's so sad.
No, like as we share and forward the reels, the reel which we like, we usually forward that to our friend as well,
Mhm.
so her friend did that as well with her. And he when he shared that music video, he mentioned that this is a romantic kind of video, and when she played that, she actually got to know that this is not, this is breakup
Oh
music.
no.
So that happened.
That's so
And
funny.
yeah, so
That's
like
so
she was
funny.
telling that uh, some kind of people usually listen to the beat sometimes,
Mhm.
they don't um like don't focus on the lyrics, they just listen to the beat, they enjoy the
Right.
beat. So Asia, does music connect us with our souls?
I would definitely say yes. Like, it definitely.
As you,
Mm. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
sorry, having internet cut off. Okay, you can continue.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna. Sorry, can you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah, does music connect us with our souls?
I would say yes. Most definitely. Like I said before, music helps to say the words that we are not able to speak out loud. And I truly believe that that comes from when we're not able to communicate something. It means that deep down inside, we are experiencing something that is just beyond, physical words, physical actions. And so I would say it definitely connects us with our soul. I would say when people talk about music and they say like, "Oh, that song is so good. Oh, that song really spoke to me." I think something people don't realize is that it's actually speaking to their heart, and what it's speaking to what they're actually feeling. And I think that's what really connects us. Yeah, it's so mind blowing because it's something we don't really think about very often, or we don't think about it super in depth. But we listen to music all the time. We hear it in ads, we hear it on the TV, we hear it on the radio, and it's just everything is speaking to us. So yeah.
Great. And I was mentioning, and we unfortunately had the internet cut off, that um our we don't have only an African culture in music. Music our culture and music, our Indian culture, and like musics are everywhere. And there are a lot of category, different kind of category in music. you know some musics are religious, as you mentioned. You used to play music in the church as well, so that includes in the religious kind of
Mhm.
category.
Mhm.
And as we also have here, they play flute, they play drums, and they communicate with our souls, they
Mhm.
communicate with our spirits. So there
Mhm.
are a
Mhm.
lot in the music, and music is definitely a thing where we can talk on hours and hours.
Mhm. Most definitely. Yeah.
Exactly. So what was the very challenging and hard moment in your life, and how you overcame that?
Sorry, can you repeat it one more time? It cut off a little bit.
Sorry,
No,
sorry
you're
for
good.
that. What was the challenging or hard moment in your life, and how did you overcome that?
Yeah, great question. I would definitely there's a lot of challenges and struggles that I've experienced in my life, but I would definitely say in high school I experienced a very um physically challenging situation. This was definitely something, challenges come in many ways, shapes, and forms. You can have physical challenges, financial, emotional, mental, all these different things. At the time, I was in high school and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And faith is such a huge part of my life. My mom, you'll probably hear her talk about God all the time. Faith is a huge part of her life as well. She's one of the reasons why like my brother and I are Christians because just seeing her as an example and growing up in the church. Um, but yeah, faith has been a huge part of my life. And when I was in high school, I definitely wanted to kind of veer away from being a Christian and believing in God. And I wanted to do things on my own. I wanted to, uh, make all the money on my own. I wanted to get all the good grades on my own. I wanted to be super successful as a high schooler instead of just enjoying high school. And so everything that I did, I think it was about like around my freshman or sophomore year. So I was like 14 or 15. I was just kind of going through the motions and I didn't want to do anything with church. I didn't want to go to church. I played on the worship team, but I didn't it just my heart wasn't in it and my heart wasn't fully surrendered to, God, what do you have for me? It was more so like, what am I going to do for myself because this makes me happy because like this is what I want to do. And so when I was in high school, I found out that I had this like really huge cyst like in my neck. So I found out, long story short, that like a saliva gland here had like burst. And so my whole face was like swollen, like everything was like just it was so bad. But at that time, before that happened, I was super prideful. And something, my mom will definitely attest to this too. But before that happened, I was, talking back at my parents. I was giving attitude. I was, staying late past curfew. I would hang out with my friends and just, just not really in great situations, not in a good environment. And so that happened, and my whole face was swollen. So my winter break, I spent the whole time in bed, like trying to figure out how to function. And at that point, I could not eat, I could not sleep, I could not drink any water because just everything was just it was so bad. They said I looked like a chipmunk, like a really sick chipmunk or something, or like a squirrel. But I just remember in that time, they told me that I was supposed to have a surgery for it, and that there was a chance that if they tried to cut it out, that I would lose um, all feeling on this part of my face. So when people experience a nerve loss in their face, your face looks a little droopy. It looks a little like one side is fine, but the other side has kind of lost feeling. And that was something I struggled with a lot because, especially as a teenager, and I've worked with youth groups too. I've seen lots of teenagers and middle schoolers, but something that I remember experiencing as a teenager was the pride of, I have to look good. I have to be good. I have to be perfect. I have to be able to, be good at this thing. I have to get good grades. All these things. It has to be perfect, right? Because there's no other time to be perfect. It's got to be now. And so I was devastated because I was like, what the heck is my life going to look like? Because nobody's going to, want to hang out with me. Like, I'm going to look, weird. And so I was just still stuck in that ego and that pride of wanting to be perfect and wanting things to be perfect. And I was like, this isn't what my life, what I wanted my life to look like. And I think in that moment, it was like the night before the surgery. Um, I was devastated and I just could not sleep. I couldn't eat. And so my parents and I, we were praying together, and I remember saying like, I was on my own, like talking to God, and I was like, I'm gonna let go of this whole thing, and I need to surrender it because I'm not in control of my life, like God is in control of my life, and I am. There's only so much I can do in my own strength, but I was telling God, I was like, I need you to help me, please. Like if this goes well, thank you. If it doesn't go well, it's okay. Thank you. Like I trust you for like what you're doing. And the next day, the I like woke up and I was like, okay, I feel a lot better. Like today's surgery. I'm think I'm gonna be okay. And my mom starts freaking out when she comes in my room, and I like go to the bathroom and the cyst is gone. My face is back to normal. Everything was just like normal. And so it was the craziest thing. And I remember the doctors were like, this is not normal. Like, how did this happen? And we were like, I don't know. Like, you saw me yesterday. Like, my whole face was swollen and now I'm back to normal. And they're like, this can't be. Like, this can't be. Like, this is unexplainable. And I remember one of the doctors was like, this can only be like an act of God. Like, there's no other way. Like, there's no other way that this could have happened. And so I think since then, um, my faith has been a lot more solidified, and has just it's just that situation showed me that like I can do whatever I want. I can go down whatever path I want. I can live my life how I want. But I can't. Any of this stuff, any of the things that I've done, all the freelancing, all the corporate jobs that I've gotten, all the money that I've gotten, it's not because of me. It's because God has helped me to guide me through it. And I know that for some people, faith isn't a huge part of their life, but um, I'm just such a huge advocate of like God has a plan for you, and God's already written your story. You it doesn't mean that you just sit and wait for him to respond and to answer or to take action. It means that he's called us to take action and that he's guiding us and he's with us every step of the way. um but yeah, but I truly believe that was the pivotal part. It was probably the most challenging because I thought I was going to die. But um but yeah, it's crazy. But yeah.
Obviously, that is called the miracle.
Mhm.
The as we speak that miracle happen. So that is the miracle, and that only happens with those who are alone with their God, and who are really connected with their God. And yeah, our faith are not enough. Our faith becoming very weak. Weaker and weaker day by day, and we are just very friendly with our technology, with our electronic devices, with internet. We are not giving our time to God. We are not giving our time to prayers of our God. Whatever we believe in, we have to take we have to take time to do prayer. We have to take time to go church, to go mosque,
Mm-hmm.
but we have
Right.
to.
Right. I think that's amazing, especially because it's such a really good point that you said as well. Just putting God first and putting your faith first is so important. Because I most of the time, I'll confess to this. I'll wake up and I'll, just go. I'm ready to go for work. I'm on social media. I'm checking my messages. I'm checking my inbox. Like, but how often do we actually, you know, sit in silence for the first like 10 minutes of our day and say, thank you, God, like you gave me another day to live. Like I'm gonna live this day for you. It's hard because when you're saying like I'm gonna put God first, I'm gonna put my faith, I'm gonna put my religion first, it's a sacrifice that you have to make. And that's outside of our human nature. Like our human nature is just, okay, what am I gonna do today? Like what am I gonna do? How am I gonna finish this thing? It's all about us. And so taking that time to sacrifice our time, it's not, it's easy to think of it as a sacrifice, but when you think of it as like I'm giving gratitude towards the God who created my life and who allowed me to wake up into a new day, when you set up your day for something like that and you're filled with gratitude, like that sets up your whole day for success because then, you're looking at things differently. You've got more peace about different situations. You don't react in a stressed way. You're more calm. It's so outside of what our human instinct and nature is, but yeah, every time that I have spent time in the morning with God and like prayer, even with spending time with people at church, it's always something good has always come out of it. But yeah, that was a really good point.
Amazing, amazing, Asia. Yeah, and when we start our day with the prayer, when we start our day with the name of God, our day obviously, goes very great, and even we get into shock that, oh, how our day is going very great, and
Mhm.
we didn't expected that. We didn't, and then we think, oh, what I did in the beginning of the day, I started my day with a prayer,
Right.
and I pray when I woke up. So that is the reason why my day is going that in that way, and we even don't understand how our God is helping us. We even
Yeah.
don't get
Mhm.
that all the things which we have is because of our God, and we don't spend or don't give our time to prayer,
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
obey Him,
Yeah. Yeah, of course. It's hard. It's a discipline that you have to create. And it's definitely hard because we spend so much time on other stuff that we'd gladly watch Netflix or watch TV shows all day long. But even if it's just like 5 minutes of our day, like anything, anything that we do when we put him first, like you said, it really just sets us up for a good day. So yeah.
exactly. Asia, it was really a great time talking to you, and I didn't expect it that our conversation goes for 50 and more than 50 minutes, and because it was really interesting and engaging, so then I didn't realize about the time. And I hope, guys, you like this conversation. It was full of fun, it was full of important things, and in the last of the our conversation we were obviously and mostly talking on the spirituality, on the connection between human and God. And yeah, you have to implement this, and not every podcast or not every conversation mm, make for fun, for entertainment. You have to, sometimes you have to um, take a time, take a moment that they are bringing an important topic which we have to take a look at. And when we start implementing these things, applying these things in our life, we definitely see us towards the success. So thank you so much, Asia, again, for giving me your precious time. And it was just the same, a little bit different from that conversation I did with your mother.
Yeah.
So it was really great, and you both, mother and daughter, are amazing, and um, you know, putting your efforts towards the success. So inshallah, viewers, meet you soon with another amazing podcast with another amazing guest. Till then, stay peace and take care of yourself. Goodbye.